And welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today we're going to be talking about the EAS message that is about to come out October 3rd of 2018. Now, first of all, let me give you a disclaimer. I do not have anybody feeding me any information. There's no envelopes coming underneath my door. No one's calling me from overseas giving me information. I am simply a pastor, a Bible prophecy teacher, and I'm simply bringing to you the very best of the information that I have based upon what I know about Bible prophecy and also based upon what the modern prophets are saying, and then looking at various news sources. That gives me an advantage over someone that doesn't know Bible prophecy or doesn't know what the prophets say, because I know what to ignore that's not in line with Bible prophecy. On the other hand, it helps me to understand what I should be looking at. And today we're going to look at the possibility. Let me say, I can't guarantee anything is going to happen on October 3rd, or anything is going to be happening with the next EAS message or any future message. However, I'm going to say I have a pretty good possibility, and that's the reason, being a watchman that I am, I'm bringing this to you because there's a high probability of it. So, our topic today is, will judgment hit October 3rd of 2018? And will that begin the sevenfold miracles that Pastor Massey and others have said is going to be coming? So first of all, let's talk about with what the modern prophets are saying, the prophetic warnings. Pastor Massey told me that the U.S. military will come in to help Trump to take control of the public. The public will go out of order. And miracles, he said, not double portion miracles, but sevenfold miracles will come. Then on July the 6th of 2018, Prophet Sundar Salvarez had 4 angels visit him, and they told him that you're about to see angels like we, meaning the 4 angels, have never seen. Now, they didn't say double portion or sevenfold, but they just said you're about to see miracles like no one has seen ever. Well, of course, that sounds like possibility of sevenfold miracles. Now, let's also look at Terry Bennett. Terry Bennett was told what the United States is going to go through is civil conflict, civil war, then invasion. And he says, I saw in the governmental area that we'll go through a dramatic change in our government. Yes, the election of Donald Trump would fulfill that to a certain degree, but there's more. A dramatic change in our government, and that there would be a time of anarchy and chaos. For a while, we'll have a fractional government, which means basically our government is going to come down to the state level, meaning it's going to be run by the states more than the federal government. Well, what would cause that? Because the military has to step in and seize control. What? Wait a minute. What's going on here? Seize control of our government. You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it will be to help our nation. That's why the military will step in. Well, what was Pastor Massey told? The military will come in to help Trump to take control of the public. Now, the Bible says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. If just one person says it, don't have to pay too much attention. But here we got 2 people saying that the military is going to come in to help Trump. 2 people saying the same things. So we got to give it some credibility. He says that the military is going to step in, seize control of the federal government, and yes, it's sort of like a coup, but it's actually going to be to help our nation. He goes on to say that's why the military will step in. He says, I saw lawlessness, chaos, and civil unrest. Now, hang on to that. There's more. Then Daniel Rhodes was given a word, and he said that America will be destroyed by a nuclear attack from Russia. Now, hang on. That sounds like what Dmitri Duduman was told. Remember, Dmitri was told the fall of America would start with an internal revolution, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be, well, out of control for sure. But some of the people start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in one day, in 1 hour. So great riches will come to naught. Then God will raise up China, Japan, and many of the nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat the Russians. They'll back the Russians to the gates of Paris, where they sign a peace treaty. But they make the Russians their leader. Then, under the leadership of the Russians, the whole world goes down to attack Israel. Israel can't counter the help of the Jews in America, so she cries for Messiah. Messiah returns on the clouds, and of course that's Armageddon, and defeats the armies of the earth. Now, Daniel Rhodes says the Lord told him that America will be destroyed by a nuclear attack from Russia. That's 2, and there's many more people that have been told that too. After an economic collapse, remember that, economic collapse possibly caused by a cataclysmic event. Could that be a meteor? Involving earthquakes and tsunamis. Now you remember, we had Ephraim Rodriguez in, and he said that he saw a meteor hit Moan Island, which is just west of Puerto Rico. Caused about a 1,000-foot tsunami at Puerto Rico, but it sent a tsunami up the eastern seaboard anywhere from 200 to 400 foot high going inland, anywhere from 25 to 100 miles inland. But where it hit was an earthquake fault, which went right up the Mississippi River Valley and split from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, and large chunks of California falling into the ocean. Does that sound like this? See, if you listen to the prophets, and you understand that you got to have in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, you can begin to get some credible information. That's what we're doing today. Now, Shane Warren was told in the DVD that we made of him called The Storm, Judgment, and Revival, which, of course, that's available at prophecyclub.com. It's also available at watchprophecyclub.com. You can view that instantly. He said that the dollar is going to be worthless. Okay, that sound like economic distress to you? Yep, okay, that's in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. He said, I saw God prospering greatly, many people acquiring things of wealth, in a transfer of wealth coming into the hands of believers. See, several people have said that there's a great economic change coming to America. He said that the Lord told him silver will skyrocket and rise far more than gold. Now, let me give you another disclaimer on that. This is a Bible prophecy program. We're not suggesting you go buy silver or gold or anything else. But he also said, and this relates, a 400-year judgment cycle exists, and that America's judgment will arrive in 2020. I didn't say that. Shane Warren said that. America's judgment will arrive in 2020. He said the devaluing of our dollar caused major rioting in the streets. That's 3 people we got saying that. Looting with signs saying, I want my entitlements. What is President Trump talking about right now? He's saying that we got more jobs than we got people to do the jobs. And they're also talking about welfare reform. So it could very well be that soon, probably after the election, we could see him begin to cut off welfare. And of course, Dimitri Duduman said he didn't have an thus saith the Lord on this, but he said he thought that probably what would start the internal revolution would be when welfare was cut off. However, we've got another person that says exactly that. But let's go on. And in the midst of this trouble, let me say it again, in the midst of this trouble, the body of Christ stood up, and people turned back to the churches, and miracles returned to the church. I saw cities of refuge where God was protecting them, and revival was taking place. Judgment brings revival to America. Let me say it again. Judgment brings revival to America. Then, December 1 of 2011, Maurice Sklar, another prophet, says the Lord says that the American dollar is about to lose 30% more of its value. This will be the second drop since the previous 2008 drop of 20%. The dollar will then be worth half of what it was before September 2008. Well, back in 2001, I was given a dream that showed that the value of property in America dropped by 50%. That's a topic for another day. We've covered that, though. This drop will cause economic distress upon our nation. That's what, 3, maybe 4 people talking about economic distress coming to our nation? The church will be shaken, and many will wake up spiritually and cry out to me. Now, wait a minute. Back up. Look. See, this was what Shane Warren was told, that revival is coming to the churches. Now we have Maurice Sklar saying the same thing. Revival is coming to the churches. The revival will also begin. God has hidden his holy apostles and prophets for this present hour. There will be great outpourings of supernatural provision. Does that sound like blessing? Okay, that's kind of what. See, look here. Same thing. This guy says there's acquiring of transfer of wealth. This guy says that there will be an outpouring of supernatural provision, miracles, and healing in various places. These areas will become cities of refuge and places of refuge for God's people. Look, what this guy say? Cities of refuge. Same thing. Mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Then I promise I heard August 3rd, 2015, Saturday evening, I say, Lord, what do you want to say tomorrow morning for the sermon? And I heard the audible voice of God for the first time when I was awake. Now, I've heard him in the night, but this time I was awake looking at this very computer monitor. And I heard, this is the time of miracles. And then what was downloaded to my heart is that we're about to see the greatest miracles in human history. Miracles like we've never seen, going all the way back to Adam. We've never seen these kind of miracles. Well, that's what Sundar Salvarez was told. That's what Shane Warren. That's what was the other? Maurice Sklar. So now we've got, 4 people saying miracles are about to hit. I'm saying that what we're looking for is judgment. When the judgment hits, so will the miracles. What he spoke to my heart is he's going to meet the devil. Step by step, inch by inch, pound by pound, everything the devil does, God is going to show up and match him all the way through. He's not going to leave us. He's not going to forsake us. Everything is going to be all right. There is going to be a test, because you can't have a testimony without the test. The test is coming. Don't worry. Now let's go on. So then if you look at this date, it says December 21, 2017. Trump signed this executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse. In other words, probably pedophilia and child and sex trafficking and things like that. But what I want to call your attention to is the word begins with a C, corruption. Yes, human trafficking is very bad, but what we're looking at is corruption, because he's saying that he's about to round up a lot of these people, these sex traffickers, pedophilites, or however you'd say that, and corruption. What this executive order does is give him the authority to confiscate their wealth. Why? Because they're about to be in prison, probably for the rest of their lives. Some of them may even be receiving the death penalty. And so that would help our national deficit, wouldn't it? Let's go on, though. Here's actually to the left. You're looking at part of the actual executive order pulled right off of whitehouse.gov. You can go check it out for yourself. That's word for word. Now, on the right, it's a little easier to read. The right is what I pulled from Q, and we'll get to who Q is and what he says here in just a moment. He says the United States seeks to impose tangible and significant, heavy on that word significant, consequences to those to whom do serious human rights abuse or engage in corruption, as well as protect the financial system of the United States from abuse by these same persons. I therefore determine that serious human rights abuse and, there's the C word again, corruption, around the world constitute an unusual, extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. This is what I want you to see. What I'm about to show you is 2 words. Please remember these 2 words, because I think, if I'm right, and I have not heard thus saith the Lord on this is just my guess, but I believe it's a good guess. I believe that EAS message that's about to come out October 3rd is going to have those 2 words on it. National emergency. Look at that. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with that threat. Now, we'll skip part of it. The Secretary of Defense, in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security, will issue non-binding guidance regarding factors that commanders, and he goes on to give a list of who's in this. And then he gives you a list of like FBI personnel, removal, DOJ. This is some of the people that are about to be arrested. At this particular time, there's 45 sealed indictments. Now, we'll talk more about the sealed indictments in just a moment. But essentially, normally there's anywhere from 125 to 350 sealed indictments across America at any one particular time. Right now, as I speak, at last count, and it may be even more than that now, But at last count, there was over 50,707 sealed indictments. What's going on? What he's saying is there's about to be a bunch of people arrested, and this particular executive order gives him the authority to confiscate their wealth. Let's go on. There's more. This is a very, very powerful article. And this comes to us from Turley. Headline says, Sessions appointing Utah federal prosecutor, much better for Trump than second special counsel. At the bottom, it says Attorney Jeff Sessions made the decision, and this guy Turley says it was brilliant, meaning that, and this is what Q says too, Q says trust Sessions. See, I already made a broadcast, and I do not think Sessions is asleep at the wheel. I don't think he's out to lunch someplace. I think that him and Trump made a plan a long time ago to drain the swamp. That's what we want. We want the swamp drained. These guys are planning it. Now let's go to the article. So who's this guy Turley? Well, he's a top national legal expert on government investigations. This is what he says. He says that John Huber, and this guy's Turley is brilliant. He says that what Sessions did was combine the powers of the U.S. Department of Justice as Inspector General with the powers of a prosecutor that is going to give him double authority to arrest all kinds of people across the whole 50 states, any place. Now let's skip down. You can read the whole article later. It says Huber has been investigating these crimes for 5 months, going back to November 13th, 2017, and that, my friends, is where the 50,000 sealed indictments came from. Now, what's a sealed indictment? It means that somebody's going to be arrested, somebody's broken the law, and they don't want that person to know about it yet. So their name is sealed. But one of these days it's going to be unsealed and they're all going to be round up. Let's go on to this article. It's a very, very powerful article. It says, I think Sessions did the right thing here, skipping down to the yellow area. Sessions can always appoint a special counsel, but this allows him to also prosecute cases, not just point out the bad things. I think people are missing what could be a brilliant move here by Sessions. What he did is essentially combine the powers of the Inspector General with the powers of the line prosecutor. Then at the very bottom, each man has a great reputation as a dogged investigator. The article says that they have 470 dogged investigators, as they say, out rounding up these people, putting their names in sealed indictments. Well, what else is interesting is, here's an article, headline says, U.S. private prison program rebooted by Trump administration. Sessions gave the order to revive the Justice Department's use of for-profit prisons. It goes on to say that he has rescinded a 6-month-old directive to basically let them kind of fall apart. Instead, they've been building up these prisons. Here's another article, headline. When it comes to Guantanamo, Trump is truly the builder-in-chief. In other words, they've been building up Guantanamo, Diego Garcia, and the Atoll Islands, which are prison islands. They've been beefing up federal prisons. Well, why would they do that? Maybe it's because they know they're about to fill them up. Executive Order 13825. Now, this one is signed March 1st. It's 465 pages long. And let me just give you another disclaimer. I'm not an attorney, and I could be misunderstanding this, but based upon what I'm reading, it appears to me like, see, because normal, it's not allowed for a citizen of the United States to be tried in a military tribunal. But from what I read in this, it appears to me that this executive order gives Trump the authority to arrest these people specifically and only if they're involved in sex trafficking or corruption, not just for anything, sex trafficking or corruption. And if they are, now the other executive order gave him the authority to confiscate their wealth. This one gives him the authority, again, my understanding of it, I could be wrong, my understanding is it gives him the authority to try them in a uniform code of military justice. In other words, a military tribunal. It authorizes the convening authority to modify the findings and sentence of a court-martial. Go on. So, again, it appears to me that President Trump has signed an executive order giving him permission to try people under the MCMJ, which would be required if his plans were to arrest 50,000 corrupt people and to take them to Gitmo, Diego Garcia, and the Atoll Islands, which are prison islands, for trial by military tribunals. It appears to me that this executive order gives him permission to prosecute these two offenses of the law, past and future, which were against the law prior to this executive order. Now, let's talk about the elections coming up November the 6th, because a lot of people say, no. He would never round people up like this, never arrest them before the election, because the big thing about the election is you don't want to ruffle the feathers. You don't want to stir the people up before the election. Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about that. What was Trump running on? The primary thing he was running on was to drain the swamp. Do you think rounding up 50,000 people in a 24-hour period, putting them in military tribunals, would be a very good boom? In other words, what he says he has promised to do, he's actually done. Promises made, promises kept. Would you say that that would be a pretty good pulling of the plug, draining of the swamp? Okay, so if he were to arrest 50,000 corrupt individuals, sex traffickers and things like that, what would the Christians, what would the conservatives think of that? I think they'd go wild. I think they'd go crazy with happiness. Matter of fact, I think that would further wake up the Christian church. I think that Trump has woke up the Christian church like we've never seen, not in my 65 years. I've never seen it so good. And so consequently, all of the Christians, all of the conservatives will flock to the polls like we've never seen. I think that we're about to see a red wave, a conservative wave, flush out the Democrats. I think there's about to be a wholesale Democrats kicked out of office like we've never seen in American history. So I think the draining of the swamp will happen before the November 6th elections, and it will be a very, very good promises made, promises kept. So why would Trump round up 50,000 people before the election? I think he's going to drain the swamp. Now, question today is the EAS, the Emergency Alert System, which we're about to talk about, could it be that the reason it was moved from September 20th to October 3rd because it would interfere with the Kavanaugh confirmation? See, that was the plan. They originally had it set up to happen September the 20th. But they said it would interfere with the Kavanaugh confirmation. Well, why would it? I mean, what is this? Let's go on. QAnon, now we're going to talk about who he is here in just a second, links the U.S. attorney with thousands of these sealed indictments. And this comes to us from exopolitics.org. He says in July 1, QAnon referred to the latest count of over then 40,000 sealed indictments filed by the U.S. federal district courts since October 30 of 2017. In other words, when this Huber guy came on, that's when Sessions, they started using these 470 dogged investigators to get names of people that had broken either sex trafficking or corruption laws. And linked these prosecutions being led by the U.S. Attorney for Utah, John Huber, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, appointed back in November. And this Inspector General Horowitz investigating a wide range of criminal and civil law violations by government employees brought up by the Republican lawmakers. If Q's claim is shown to be accurate, then such a large number of sealed secret indictments will have the effect of removing corrupt federal officials. Anon has just been included, this is a little bit about him, tell you more about him in a second, in Time Magazine's list of the 25 most influential people on the Internet. While there have been an increasing number of mainstream articles against the guy, I personally, I don't think it's Trump, but I do think it is someone that can physically touch his desk every day. Maybe like a cabinet member or something like that. This is someone that's really close to Trump. Really close to him. Just as the deep state has been using the mainstream media to leak classified information that is damaging to Trump, this Q has been doing the opposite in order to expose the deep state. Again, I think he's telling the truth. Now let's talk about the presidential alert. Now, believe it or not, I actually have an article here from CNN, the Communist News Network. It says, headline, Presidential Alert, Trump text slides to October 3rd. This FEMA test of the Presidential Alert text system, you're supposed to be getting a message on your phone from the president, whether you are a supporter or not, whether you like it or not. You can't opt out of it. And it is it's not a political message, but it's an emergency test message from the president, part of the Federal Emergency Management Agency system, to warn the public in cases of, look at those two words. Remember those two words, national emergency. See, that's what was in the executive order, national emergency. A majority of the cell phone users will receive an alert on Wednesday, October 3rd, with the heading Presidential Alert. And this message is supposed to say, this is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed. The alert was scheduled to occur Thursday, October 20th, but the test was postponed to October 3rd. Okay, let's talk about that. So what is it? It's basically kind of like the Amber Alert. Everybody gets a text message, and it goes beep, beep, beep. Every cell phone in North America, in America, gets this. Now, is that a reason to delay the Kavanaugh vote, the Kavanaugh confirmation, that everybody gets a simple test message in America? I don't think so. I mean, what would that bother the Kavanaugh confirmation? I don't think it would. But if it is also a plan to declare a national emergency and round up 50,000 people within a 24 to 48-hour period, if that is the objective, I can see where that would cause them to think, no, we need to get Kavanaugh confirmed first. Let's delay this message. Now, again, no one has told me. I'll just say it this. It was just a knowing that came on me, kind of like when I give a personal prophecy. It just was something put in my heart. I can't say, thus saith the Lord. I'm going to give it a pretty high credibility. I'm going to say we have a 95% chance that there will be an EAS that doesn't say this is a test. I think if it's not October 3rd, or if they delay it, or maybe it is a test on October 3rd, maybe it is. But maybe there'll be a second one come out. My point is, I think very soon we will not see it saying test. I think we'll see the two words, national emergency. My guess is that they already have the list of the people they want to round up, and as soon as all of those people see that text message hit their cell phones. I'm going to have to interrupt there, but what you've been listening to is a video that you can watch up on YouTube. What you do is just go to YouTube and then type in Prophecy Club channel, and then you choose the round picture, and then click on videos, and you see lots of videos. You can also listen to all of our radio programs there. This particular one is called National Emergency. Just search for National Emergency. I think I'm the only one that has got that. This is what's about to happen. October 3rd is National Emergency Day. Probably that is when the EAS message is going to say National Emergency. And probably, while I don't have a thus saith the Lord or any kind of guarantee, that's probably when they're going to start rounding up these 50,000 sealed indictments. Also, Prophecy Club exists, not that we offer books and videos and things like that. Now, on the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. So when it comes time for your giving, would you please remember us? You did a really, really good thing, a big thing, a powerful thing for those pygmies. And we sent that money over to the pygmies, but we still need your help for Prophecy Club too. So please remember us. And don't forget to go check out our website at prophecyclub.com. You can also watch over 160 videos instantly at watchprophecyclub.com. And that's $20 a month or $200 a year. Watch over 160 DVDs, either $20 a month or $200 a year. Watch prophecyclub.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers. And thank you for those gifts of support. God bless.